What if I told you that a guaranteed $2,000 payment per person could be just weeks away, and that the president himself said it's not a maybe, but a will? And what if I also told you the real twist is coming at the end of this video? And it's something almost nobody is talking about, but it could completely change how retirees and seniors like you live in the next year. So don't go anywhere, because the punchline here isn't just surprising, it's shocking. So, here's what just happened. Literally this morning, the president posted on Truth Social calling for a dividend of at least $2,000 for every American except high-income earners. That's not just a repeat of old promises. This is the fourth time in less than a year that he's pushed direct payments. Не гипотетически, но как что-то, что будет оплачено. Think about that wording. Not we're considering, not we're talking about it. Он сказал, мы будем получать зарплату. Период. That's new. Now, before I go further, if you're watching this and you're over 60 or already retired, comment your age and state. I'd love to know who's planning smarter out there. Let's see who's part of the future-proof generation. Back to the facts. This isn't just another round of checks like the ones in 2020 and 2021. This time, the funding source is tariff revenue. About $1 billion coming in every single day. That's where the president wants to pull the money from. No added taxes. No new budget. Just reallocating revenue that's already streaming in. And get this. This isn't some one-off speculation. Back in February, he talked about a $5,000 Doge dividend. In August, he floated a $600 rebate. In early October, he said $1,000 to $2,000, and now we're hearing at least $1,000, $2,000 of Zachiloveka. That's an escalation. There's momentum. And if you've watched politics long enough, you know when messages repeat, especially heading toward midterms, there's a strategy behind it. But what about income limits? Что означает высокий доход здесь? Based on past stimulus guidelines, anyone under $75,000 as an individual or $150,000 as a couple was considered eligible. That covered roughly 85% of Americans. If that holds again, it means tens of millions of retirees, even those only on Social Security or SSI, could qualify. You don't need to file a tax return to qualify. You just need to have income under the cutoff. But you might be wondering, how real is this? Can $2,000 per American actually be funded through tariffs alone? And more importantly, why push this now? That's where the real twist comes, and it's what I'll uncover in the next part. Let's dig deeper, because here's where it gets really interesting. Why is the president so confident now? Why is he using language like "will be paid to everyone" after months of talking and may considering? The answer isn't just economics, it's timing. And once you see how everything lines up, you'll realize this isn't just another promise, it's a calculated move. We're less than a year away from the midterm elections, arguably the most pivotal one in a decade. And what do you do when you're staring down a tight race? You drive attention where it matters most, the average American voter. If you're over 60, living on a fixed income, and you see $2,000 per person being floated, not once, but 4 times in a row, you start to believe someone is finally listening. That's strategy. That's how you signal to millions of seniors, low-income households, and disabled citizens. We haven't forgotten you, and we're about to prove it. And don't overlook another key phrase floating around these updates. Everyone except high-income people. Notice, not citizens, not tax filers, not workers. Just everyone except high-income people. That's wide open. That's you. If you're on Social Security, SSDI, VA benefits, or even if you're not filing taxes at FSA, filing a tax return has absolutely nothing to do with getting approved here. It's all about income thresholds. Period. But here's where the shocker comes in. And this is the part almost no one is talking about. If 85% of Americans get $2,000, that's about 284 million people. Do the math, and that's $568 billion. And there's no way that much money hits the economy without massive consequences. Think inflation, markets, political backlash, or stick with me now, a totally unexpected reform tied to this payment. Because if there's one thing DC knows how to do, it's bundle benefits with new rules. And like I said, what comes at the end of this video is what could impact you far beyond that $2,000. It could change how future benefit payments roll out entirely. Alright, so now we're at the part where most people stop paying attention, right? When things get real. Let's talk about the hidden layer under all this talk of $2000 стимульных выплат, the part no one reading surface level news is going to notice. Because yes, $2,000 per person sounds great. But what if that's not really the end game? What if it's the bait? Here's what we know. Historically, stimulus checks didn't just show up for no reason. They came attached to policy changes, political shifts, or big legislative packages. And when you zoom out and look at what's happening now, the pieces start falling into place. You've got talk of Social Security reform in the background quietly heating up. You've got inflation concerns hanging over every spending decision. You've got an aging population creating pressure on the benefit system. And now you've got the president promoting massive cash injections in an election year. So what happens when you roll all that together? You get more than just a one-time payment. You get a moment that opens the door for negotiation. And if you're someone who's 60 plus living on a fixed income, this matters because there's a real chance that the $2,000 is just step one. The sugar before the medicine. I'm talking about changes like automatic payment modernization, direct account benefits for retirees, and even indexed COA adjustments being tied to not just inflacja, no ekonomiczny rost. In other words, the payment could be the hook for a long overdue overhaul of how retirement and lower income benefits work in this country. And here's the thing. I wish I could say it's all good news, but a move like this could just as easily be used to phase in stricter eligibility rules down the road. You heard that right? I've seen it before. And trust me, policy shifts rarely come without fine print. That's why staying informed, especially right now, is critical. Because the last thing you need is to wake up one day and realize the bonus you got came with strings attached that pull on your future. And the kicker, the people benefiting least from all this noise are the ones not paying attention. The quiet majority. That's why I make these videos. So you don't end up on the sidelines while the biggest retirement era change in years is happening right under your nose. We're not done yet. Ostavajte sa mной. The final part isn't just a wrap-up. It's where I show you exactly what to watch for in the next few weeks and how to be ready if and when this $2,000 rolls out. You'll want to be ahead of the curve, not reacting to it. Alright, let's bring this full circle because the next few weeks are going to matter, and if you've made it this far, you're already way ahead of most people, especially when it comes to what's probably the most senior-focused money move we've seen in years. So here's the deal. The president has now endorsed at least 4 forms of direct payments in the past 10 months. He's raised the figure publicly more than once, and he's doing it at a time when tariffs are banking $1 milliard в день. That's real money. Enough to fuel these $2,000 payments, or at least enough to justify hyping them during a political season. But let's be real, it's not just the size of the payment that matters, it's who's in control of it, and that's why we have to pay attention to the why behind the what. Because while everyone else is busy reacting to headlines about tariffs or crying about the national debt, the real leverage is happening in the background. If you're on Social Security, disability, pensions, SSI, or you're living solely on fixed income, this matters because the system has to change. And this could be the moment they finally do it for better or worse. Now, to wrap this up, I want to leave you with something simple but practical. Here's what to do next. Keep your eyes on official announcements, not hearsay. Listen for key phrases like income thresholds, automatic payment system, tariff-funded credits. Those aren't random words. They signal what's coming. If you're worried you won't qualify because you don't file a tax return, don't be. The last 3 stimulus rounds have already created the blueprint for non-filers, and if you're under the income cutoff, you're just as eligible as anyone else. Watch for timeline moves. If these payments are real, I will start to hear urgency in the messaging before legislative sessions wrap for the year. And if you're already collecting benefits, expect your eligibility to be communicated directly through your usual channels, not through the IRS portal like before. So before I go, if you found this useful, you know what to do. Hit subscribe, because I'm going to stay on this like a hawk. Я не делаю hype. I do clarity, and when that first official filing hits, I'll be here breaking it down step by step so nobody in this community misses their chance. And hey, if this kind of info helps you feel prepared, pay it forward. Ostrith, drop one word in the comments. Get tough. Because if this $2,000 really does hit, I want you to be ready the second it lands. Generated with HTTPs. Kime AI.